Welcome, everyone. Thank you all very much for the kind birthday wishes. And for those who are trying to make the Wu Tang dream come true, thank you all very much. The Wu Tang Fund, man, it's doing very well. Thanks everybody. I don't want to put anybody's name out there, but thanks everybody who has decided to give. I appreciate it very much. Um, Not a lot of positivity towards me going to Dynamite, but there were some pretty good arguments. There were some pretty good arguments made about why I should go. So I'm still considering it. I got a couple of weeks left. Maybe I looked at the tickets, and ticket prices are kind of ridiculous. They're cheaper than they were at Little Caesars Arena, though. I will say that. All right. So today's episode, we get some discussion about. There's two videos I want to look at. Both of them are interviews. One is Kevin Owens talking about um, shit. What is he talking about? Kevin Owens was discussing how William Regal reacted to what they were doing in Ring of Honor versus how another veteran, it was Al Snow, reacted to what they were doing in Ring of Honor. But the prime video that we're going to be discussing here is going to be the Paul Levesque thing um, from Gunther. This thing is a disaster. Um, oh boy, it's going to be an interesting time. How do I get this damn referral link down? I want to take this thing down. I do not want this up. Um, I ended up putting it up there by mistake. I'm kind of worried that if I try to take it down, it end up taking the whole stream down. I don't want that. I just noticed a little bit earlier today that it was supposed to be a Q&A today because I got it set for every 3 weeks, and it didn't. It didn't occur to me until now that I was supposed to have a Q&A. So I guess we'll do. We'll figure out some way because we're doing a watch along next week. So maybe we'll do a Q&A. I'll do an extra stream or something because I am behind because I didn't do a stream last week, and there's so much I want to talk about in the pop culture thing. I'm glad nothing's going on this weekend because then you got Devil May Cry, Daredevil. Um, I watched another American Gladiators documentary, the 5-part Netflix documentary. There's just so much I want to get into. Um, so I may do two different streams over the weekend in order to catch up. But hey, not every, we're here for a good time, not necessarily for a long time. But also, there's a toy show this weekend, a comic and toy show. It's gonna be on Saturday. Usually, I go to those things to try to find some old magazines and stuff. Maybe I'll be able to find some old magazines. Or I remember last time I went, I found a bunch of wrestling cards and stuff like that. I always find cool stuff at those places. It's way out in Dearborn, so Jesus, I want to have to go way out there, but it ought to be fun. And it's something to do on a Saturday when I usually won't have anything else to do. Unfortunately, I hope it's not going to rain. I hope it's not going to rain. All right, so let's get into these videos. First, we're going to talk about Gunther. Gunther is going to talk about how Triple H saved wrestling. I know he's going to put some. We're going to put it into some context, but this is Gunther with Ariel Helwani talk about um, this whole Triple H saving wrestling thing.
So how would you describe working for Paul? How would you describe working for, him as the leader, his vision, the way he does things differently than the previous regime?
Well, I would say to a degree, and obviously he's my boss, and I'm in a very good position at the company right now, but I think to a certain degree that, yeah, he saved professional wrestling to a big degree, I think.
Wow.
Because, yeah, when I remember when I started 2005, I started, and all the Europeans kind of like tried to get into WWE. was such a mystery about it, like who to talk to and what to do. It seemed so far away, such an unrealistic point to achieve. And yeah, Hannah was the one that pushed for opening that world to WWE and created so many jobs and opportunities back then for so many of the guys, like for us, for all the European guys. But then in general, it's just yeah, he opened the floodgates for the wrestling world outside of WWE, and I think that's a very since then the change has been very positive. And
Oh, what is he talking about? Okay, look. Oh, clearly he's struggling to come up with how Triple H saved WWE. But this is interesting because one of the things that we have heard quite a bit, especially from European wrestling fans, is how Triple H killed the indie scene in Europe. There's a lot of discussion about that. NXT UK destroyed the indie scene in Europe, which, to be quite honest, if it could be destroyed so easily, then it deserved to be destroyed. You know, if somebody came along offering you more than a hot dog and a dream, and that meant everybody ran to that place, that was smart because that means that whatever you were doing over there, you weren't doing enough. You just simply wasn't doing enough, and it's unfair to the talent. It's one thing that a lot of fans don't understand is a lot of your wants and desires are unfair to the talent. You want these guys to suffer for their art. To you like they're sleeping in their car story. I hate that shit. There's no reason for you to be sleeping in your car, but for some reason these people love it. It shows your passion. No, go get a real job. If a WWE shows up on the spot, take it. Now, I do believe that NXT UK was Triple H's idea. It was one of his many babies, and I do think it has some level of success. Now, it didn't have long-term success, obviously, because it doesn't exist anymore. But I mean, it was in operation for about 3 years. They signed quite a few big-name talent over in Europe, most of whom got released around the time of the pandemic, and because of the speaking out disaster, which also led to places like England, especially, getting more involved in regulating pro wrestling. As a matter of fact, I believe England put in like some new rules or something like that right after this speaking out thing. After you started seeing that there were guys having sex with their students, the students were 16 or something like that, and guys were sleeping with them and all kind of gross, disgusting claptrap. So I see why he would say that because Triple H brought a lot of attention to the European scene at a time where, well, they think they were bubbling and big, but nobody else was really paying attention to what was going on over in Europe. But also because Triple H put a spotlight on it, when things eventually blew up, a lot of bad actors got exposed. And that I guess that is a positive. There's a lot of dudes who had sex with underage girls, a lot of dudes who were using their training facility like it was plenty of fish, and they got outed and they no longer work in the business. That's a good thing. Guys like Marty Skrull got busted. That's good. Guys like Jack Gallagher got busted. That's good. Yes, it was bad for the NXT UK brand because it pretty much tanked it, but ended up being good in the long run because a lot of the really bad actors got weaved out. So that was a positive. Now I don't know if he would say he saved wrestling in general. I think that that's just a bit much. Him saying that, oh, I believe my boss, he saved the wrestling. He saved the wrestling. He you wouldn't be anywhere without him. We just saved the wrestling. No, he did not save wrestling. He probably saved you because there are parts of this interview where he was discussing. Let me see if I did. Did I save that clip? I'm not sure if I saved the clip of where he was talking about he wasn't sure what Vince wanted from him. But that's what he said is, the Vince McMahon time, there was 4 months when Vince came back and was in control. He wasn't really sure what Vince McMahon wanted from him and his character and him as a performer, which I get it. I can understand why, Vince comes in with a completely different vision and what that might have done, because it's such a stark difference. Now, Triple H tries to downplay the difference. Oh, it's kind of the same. It's WWE. But anybody who knows this stuff knows that it's wildly different in terms of his presentation in comparison to Vince's presentation. I've been talking about it almost exclusively on this goddamn channel from this point. But that's an interesting bit. How do I get this damn thing down? It's so distracting. It's distracting the hell out of me. I want to get this down. Shoot, the M Studios says Triple H saving wrestling is crazy. It is. It's really insane. I don't know. I don't get it. To me, it seems to me that he's brown nosing a little bit because he's in a good spot. It's kind of sick that he would say that, but this is what these guys think. They look at it from the perspective of, I'm in a good position. He also said that he got a new deal recently, and this new deal, he got a bus. And I'm thinking to myself, wait a second. Now, hold on one goddamn second. Becky Lynch got a bus, but only after she became one of the top draws in the company, sold a bunch of t-shirts. Cody Rhodes, of course, got a bus because, well, they were trying to get him to come over from AEW. I think, who else got a bus? I think Ronda Rousey got one, but she's Ronda Rousey. She was a star from the UFC. A bunch of other people got bus. I think Sasha Banks ended up getting one eventually. Like, that kind of stuff is usually for people who have actually had a history of, drawing money and being a superstar. Gunther is like in his first year as a main event guy in WWE, and they're already giving him a bus. Oh, that's just plain favoritism right there, my guy. Super favoritism. I'm glad he got it, but sheesh, he must be giving them joints away now. If Triple H is such good for wrestling, why is Gunther not in the main event of WrestleMania? I think he mentioned in his interview as well that he did not really expect Jey Uso to be his opponent, that he was looking more for a traditional main event guy like a Cody or a Cena or something like that. But he thinks that it makes sense now. It's like, no, it doesn't make sense. You're just trying to justify it because, he's not thrilled about this thing, but it is what it is. There's nothing he can do that can change it. Maybe in 15 years, he'll get, grumpy like Greg Valentine or something. And he'll talk about how dumb it was for him to wrestle Jey Uso at WrestleMania. You said, did Cena have a bus? I don't know. I don't know if Cena even had one. I know the bus thing started becoming a big deal. When did it became a big deal in like the late 2010s? I think when CM Punk got one. I think that's really when it became like a big deal. Because he got one in like 2012, I think. When he got his new contract, he got a bus. And it became a big deal around that time because, it started seeming like most people. But Brock didn't need one. Brock ended up like using Vince's jet. And maybe that's the next level where guys like Undertaker didn't get a bus. They got to use Vince's jet. Because, Brock and those guys, they didn't stay and travel from town to town. They hopped on the flight and went back home. So it seems like there's levels to this thing, and the bus is sort of it's a pretty good level if you're going to be traveling. It's pretty good. But if you're going to be one of these part-time guys, you kind of want a seat on the private plane, you know. And I know that a couple of guys were using the private plane, so maybe Cena was one of those guys. Maybe he was a private plane guy. Top Dog says Triple H has ruined wrestling even more. Well, he certainly, I think, I don't know if I want to blame him for ruining it. I would say that he has not done a good job of saving it. I think he thinks so, and he wants other people to think that he has, because for him, it's a necessity. He thinks that this company is not going to have much going for it if he's not in control. And maybe it's true, because you look at guys like Road Dogg, who are bona fide idiots, who are like, they're not next in line clearly, but they're being positioned as guys who are going to run the company in the future, and they're not smart. I have yet to enjoy an episode of SmackDown since Road Dogg took over. So I don't know. Maybe I think if Bruce ends up with the stick, it just ends up being Vince 2.0, which might be fun because Bruce is kind of dumb. So who knows? AJ3 says, also, have you noticed none of the Royal Rumble winners are main event at WrestleMania this year? I'm not surprised. Look at what they did with the Royal Rumble winners. They essentially, well, when it comes to Tiffany Stratton, she's just not a main event of WrestleMania level talent yet. So, I mean, her being in the spot is fine. Her versus Charlotte is good, but it was booked poorly. There's no hype around it, really, outside of Tiffany and Charlotte having a quote unquote personal issue, which might not even be personal. I think that if you want to talk about Triple H saving wrestling, I think that this WrestleMania build is showing that he's not saving wrestling, actually. He's a custodian of wrestling, really. Vince built this whole thing. There's not a single person main eventing this show that wasn't built by Vince McMahon. Everybody that's in the main event of WrestleMania this year main evented pay-per-views and stuff under Vince. I mean, this is the second straight WrestleMania that Triple H has gotten to do unmolested. There was some conversation about Vince being involved with 39, but Vince was not there for 40. He's not there for 41. And Triple H just basically is leaning on the guys who are already there, which is fine, because he can take some credit for CM Punk being back. He can take a great deal of credit because it's almost like it wouldn't have happened if Vince was still there. But for the most part, he hasn't made anybody yet. So we don't even know I think Gunther is the closest thing you got to a Triple H guy, and I'm not sure if that's the best example. Like, Gunther's not a bad example. I don't say like he's Vladimir Kozlov, like a bunch of other people. Like, that's just ridiculous and disrespectful. But I will say, because I think he has a lot more charisma than Vladimir Kozlov. But I do think that stylistically, he has to be higher on the card. I don't think you can have a guy like Gunther in the mid card where he loses a bunch of matches and all that kind of stuff. I think the presentation when he was an Intercontinental Champion was the perfect presentation for Gunther. Why that changed, I don't know. And it certainly has changed with him being World Champion. He looked almost invincible as the Intercontinental Champion. Yeah, he looked very vulnerable as the World Champion. It's a slight booking, slight change of booking strategy, befitting his different position. Mainly because Triple H grew up watching the NWA, and this is a fact, where the champions are a little bit more beatable, but they're technically proficient. They're not invincible like Hulk Hogan or the Ultimate Warrior or anything like that. They're warriors. They go in there, have long, grueling matches, and they win by the skin of their teeth or something like that. The Harley race, the well, I would say the Funks, but I'm pretty sure he didn't watch Funk. But maybe Flair, Barry Windham, that kind of thing that I'm pretty sure Triple H watched growing up. That's probably his era, the stuff that he liked to see. And Gunther is from that mold. The problem is this is WWE. He's different for WWE because they don't typically have those kinds of guys in main event level because they usually don't make it. Usually people just flat out call them boring and people throw them in the garbage. Much like they did with Vladimir Kozlov, which Vince tried to make that thing happen, and it didn't work at all. So I see why things have changed a bit. Ooh. But I don't necessarily agree with this whole Triple H saved wrestling. Yeah, that seems pretty ridiculous. All right, so let's play this Kevin Owens clip. This is from Chris Van Vliet. Let's see. Oh wait, let's see. Top Dog says, I think Cena either used Vince's jet or had his own. Let's be honest, with all the money he made from merch of 2010 alone, he could have got him a great one. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he got to travel in style. I'm pretty sure he wasn't moving around like some kind of jabroni. The M Studio says Triple H and TKO are the reasons why I feel the product is lifeless. Yeah, I mean, they're only doing what's necessary to get from one week to the next. The lack of hype for WrestleMania is embarrassing. I don't think Vince would ever have just allowed this thing to be this drab. Even if you hated the card, even if you hated the main events or whatever, he still tried to make the show feel big. He still tried to make the show feel exciting. Even if you hated the show afterwards, he will always trick people. And that was the hilarious thing because only the most jaded, most violently jaded person would skip Royal Rumble and WrestleMania because Vince will always get them. The people who don't watch WWE, it's all about Puro or Lucha, whatever. Every WrestleMania season, every time he'd get them. Either there'd be one match on the show that they want to see, or there would be some anticipation for something that they want to see. He'd get them every year. But Triple H, he makes some of these shows skippable because there's not a lot of ballyhoo, and that's a big problem. That's a huge problem. The M Studio says it's like what you said in your previous video. Triple H isn't a visionary like Vince. Yeah, he doesn't have. He has plans, and he's one of these people who thinks that the long-term plan is the best plan, and usually it's good. I don't hate long-term plans, but when you're a slave to the plan, that's a problem, and you don't have to bat 1,000. You just got to really hit one good home run. And Triple H hit a home run with the Cena heel turn, and 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later, it was like it never happened. Like, I don't understand how you got to that point. I don't understand how that happened. The M Studios continues says the build to WrestleMania really shows that no matter how much star power you have, if you don't have a fun and compelling stories, then it doesn't matter how much hype goes into these shows. Yeah. But I don't think that there's enough hype. I really don't even think there's a lot of hype in the WrestleMania this year. Christopher Lloyd, thank you very much, by the way, for appearing here. Brock Lesnar shows up. Congratulations to Cena with an F5. Man, I don't think we'll ever see Brock again, if we're being honest, bro. I don't believe the rumors that he's retired, but I don't think he's going to show back up. It's just too much drama. And Triple H and all these guys trying to stay quiet and make money low key until this whole ring boy scandal, sex trafficking thing is over. Ike Don says Vince was involved in 39. Triple H wanted Finn Balor to beat Edge, but Vince had Edge win. Yeah, it's pretty common sense that you would not have the heel win the blow off to the feud. I don't understand why that's even an argument. Like, why is that even an argument? This is the blow off to the feud. Why would the heel win? Why would the heel win the blow off to the feud? I don't know. WG Field says WrestleMania 23, 20, 22, 23, 24, 26, 27, 28, 30, 34, and 33 didn't have Rumble winners main eventing. I don't even remember who. Well, 22, it was Rey Mysterio. He was in the middle of the show. 23, the Royal Rumble winner was 2007. That was Undertaker. He wrestled Batista. 24 was Jesus. That was 2008. Was that? I was about to say Chris Jericho. Why the hell would I think Chris Jericho? He never won a Royal Rumble. Was that Cena in 2008? And I think he was in a triple threat match or something like that. 26, I don't remember. But yeah, you're right. Hell, the Royal Rumble winner didn't even main event WrestleMania 10 because it was a co-winner, technically. The WrestleMania 11 didn't have the Royal Rumble winner main event either. The M Studio says Gunther, to be honest, should be better than what he is now, especially as world champion. Yeah, the presentation of Gunther has been pretty crappy, but what can one say? WG Phil says I can't even consider Gunther a Triple H because Vince gave him the IC title a few months on SmackDown. Yeah, I think that Vince was convinced to do something with him, but was then trying to tweak him and make him a Vince creation, and that was what led to the confusion. I think right now Gunther has a lot more inroads into his creative with Triple H, and he probably prefers that to Vince telling him what to do. WG Phil says this is supposed to be Cena's last year, and he's booking it like Cena got 2 more years left. You think they look at that? This is his last year. It's already April. Think about that. This is his last year, bro. It's already April. He told you last year that he was done after this year, and it's already April. You got 7 more months left. 7 months, and you had a year to prepare for it. Well, you had several months to prepare for it. You didn't have a year to prepare for it. Top Dog says Triple H has been in creative for almost 3 years, and most young people haven't been built up. Yeah, most of the young talent they are inning. They're being, especially when you consider what Vince was doing in terms of he was putting the rocket to like Austin Theory. He was trying to move some of these older guys out of the way. Not fully, clearly, Roman was still on top, but he wanted to make some of the younger guys players. When the NXT thing happened, and that was a major talking point, everybody's like, and I still believe that Vince and Bruce had a really strong hand in what happened with NXT 2.0. Even though everybody's going to tell you, oh, Triple H was on board. Sure, he was on board. He didn't have a choice. What choice did he have? Vince is the boss. Of course he's on board. He ain't got no choice. But you could tell Triple H was not on board with EO leaving and Adam Cole leaving and all these people being scattered into the wind. You could tell Triple H wasn't on board with that because when he got power, he brought them all back. M Studio says Edge winning made the most sense. Yeah, it was a dumb decision. It's a dumb comment to even make. Oh, Balor should have won that match. And then what? That was the blow-off match to the feud. Why would he win? I don't know. The one EB said they said the reason why John didn't change his clothes is because they still want to sell the colorful T-shirts. Well, yeah, because they already made them. They already put the money into making the shirts. So clearly they want to sell them. But What a disaster. Ike the Don says last year's Mania build was great. Bailey versus EO, The Rock and Roman versus Cody, Sammy versus Gunther. It was great because The Rock was morally involved, and they were doing stuff like they did the what was that event they did, that kickoff show or whatever they did a couple of weeks before WrestleMania, where they switched the main event, you know. So that was great. That was good hype. It didn't have a tagline or nothing like that, but it was good hype. This year, The Rock showed up, but The Rock's gone now. I think he's going to do a Scorsese movie, so pretty dumb. WG Phil says even if Vince chose Finn to lose, Edge had the clout to put him over. Yeah, I mean, if he wanted to, he could have, but again, what sense would it have made for the heel to go over in the end of the feud? You know? It's pretty dumb. AJ3 says it reign as champion has been crap, but Triple H has booked all the champions' title reigns as crap and unforgettable. What would Vince do? I don't know. Vince was also, let's beat the champion in the middle of the ring on that dumb shit too, if we're being honest. But at least there might have been a little bit more flash and some more sizzle to this thing. We also probably wouldn't have these women's belts, and the feuds would probably have a little bit more energy to them, I think. X9 says Big Nose hasn't saved wrestling in the slightest. SmackDown says otherwise, but Shawn Michaels, on the other hand, let that boy cook. Yeah, let Shawn do his thing. Shawn's got some stuff going on for sure. I don't know what the hell Triple H is doing on the main roster. He's losing his mind. WG Phil says Cena told us he was retiring at Money in the Bank in July 2024. Yeah, they had several months, 4 or 5 months to prepare. And then they came up with this knee-jerk heel turn that they hastily explains to everybody. And then he's off TV for a month. Great job, guys. You did an excellent job. Excellent job. WG Phil says, wouldn't it be better if Cena had the shirts coming out, but he didn't wear them? How many wrestlers wear their licensed shirts anyway outside of Jay? I just don't think he probably should not have just even done the heel turn. It probably just should not have happened. Just book Cena versus Cody, face versus face, and let the people make their decision. I get it. I get why they doing this. They wanted Cena to be clearly out of the way so Cody can be the face for this generation. But the way they did it was foolish, in my opinion. Prince Ali says, Sage Wrestling, give me a break. I bet Gunther thinks the 80s and 90s wrestling was boring because they didn't perform flashy moves and cut shoot promos you see thousands of times already. Well, he's already said that he didn't really like the WWF and he didn't really like that style. That's pretty much a routine European thing, is they don't really like that style because it was very much characters and not so much on the in-ring grappling stuff. They have their own style in Europe, and then this generation of European wrestlers very, very inspired by Japan. Very inspired by Japan. Ike Don says the Mania build this year has gotten better the last few weeks. Gunther destroying Jimmy was a great angle. I agree. I think it was a fantastic angle. I think the follow-up promo was actually not that bad, but it was a last-ditch effort to get people to care about this shit. Stone Mexican said, I was having fun in the chat, in some chat saying Tony Khan saved wrestling. They kept calling me a mark. A chat full of marks acting like they're wrestlers. I love trolling wrestling fans. Oh boy, I hate wrestling fans. I really do. I hate them so much. They don't know what to do. Christopher Lloyd says Cena said he's going to make people's lives miserable. If a certain somebody come in here comes the pain. It's over F5, even though he's a heel. I would love it if Brock showed back up. It'd be unpredictable. There'd be some energy into the show again because Brock's going to have fun. Brock's going to Brock for sure. But because Brock's going to Brock, I don't think he fits. I think he did the right thing being, putting Cody over on his way out. Because now Cena's going to do the same thing. It's kind of excessive with everybody being sacrificed to Cody, which I know everybody says like, oh, it's, that same thing kind of happened to Cena. It's like, not really, but everybody having their last run against Cody seems a bit excessive to me. But Brock having all those matches with Roman, I think probably had more punch. Let's get into this thing about Kevin Owens. Because I wish I could read these comments, but this goddamn big ass link is right here. And it's in the way, and I can't see a damn thing. So let's get into the Kevin Owens ridiculous comments that he about to make.
An old school wrestler acknowledged that while this may not be his style or the way he would do things, for the crowd that we were in front of, that was perfect because they ate up everything. Everything. It's like, so who am I to come here and tell you guys that you did it wrong? You didn't. You did it absolutely right. I had seen other guys, that had been in WWE and stuff like that veterans that could be a positive influence on wrestlers, just tear us down. Like I remember one came to a Ring of Honor show and tore up the main event that was a fatal 4-way and just told all the guys how stupid they were and you shouldn't have done that. Why'd you do this like this? Why'd you do that? Should have been the finish. The crowd ate up everything. To a degree, I will add that that particular guy had never had a crowd in his life. I watched his matches. He never had a crowd going like those guys. So it was so refreshing to see William Regal have that, that outlook. And then I remember he left, and I was like, well, if it leads to something great.
So this guy is talking about basically veterans telling them what to do while they're rocking in front of 200 people. Now, look, the veteran in question that supposedly tore them down was Al Snow, apparently, because apparently he's told this story multiple times. He says like, oh, William Regal kind of appreciated what we were doing because our audience was rocking with it. It's like, yeah, but what happened? Did Ring of Honor grow from any of this? Like, this is the kind of mindset that indie wrestlers have. Oh, the audience loved it. And you hear this all the time with AEW, right? The audience, oh, they loved it. They thought this was fantastic. They thought this was great. But then the ratings don't move. The audience who loved it, they thought it was great. Is fewer of them the next time. They don't sell as much merchandise. There was a reason why during his era, Ring of Honor was selling WWE DVDs. Like there's no thought process behind what the business is supposed to be. The business is supposed to build upon itself. And I'm not saying that, the guy who is questioning them is, right. I'm not even saying that. I'm just saying that mentality that the crowd is rocking. Like, this is not a rock concert. You're just going out there playing the hits. Like, that's not what this is. Pro wrestling is supposed to grow your audience. That should be the point. The point should be to grow the audience. If you guys were doing everything right and you were rocking and doing everything great, you would not have needed to come to WWE at all. You could have just stayed in Ring of Honor and rocked the crowd and made tons of money. But you couldn't. So clearly you were doing something wrong. So that means the guy who was telling you were doing something wrong was actually the one trying to help you. Now, William Regal's trying to help you, but he also was there to recruit for WWE. So understand, there's a huge difference of what's going on here. Uh, JS says Kevin Owens only agrees with this booking because it benefited himself greatly. Yeah, and he's an indie wrestler with an indie wrestler's mindset. And again, you hear the same thing with the Young Bucks. You hear these guys all the time. Well, you say you guys have said this, this, and this, but look at our audience. Our audience is rocking. Our audience likes it, and the audience 2 years later less than it was before. What good did it do? Like, what good did it do really? It's like if you're a really good musician and you got a hit single, and you're like, hey man, and like the snap rap, what guys were doing like the ringtone rap and all that. If you were to tell them, and a lot of people were telling them, like, this shit trash, and they would be like, what are you talking about? My song is the number one ringtone in the country. I got the number one video on 106 in Park. 3 years later, nobody knows who the fuck you are. I mean, it's literally that same thing. Oh, we had a knockdown, drag out. The crowd was rocking. It's like there's 200 people in the building. There's 300 people in there. And then 2 years later, it's 180. Then 3 years later, the company getting bought by this fucking guy or something. Like, no, you were not doing the right thing. Now, I guess you want to keep the fans happy. I'm not saying that that's a problem. What I'm saying is that the point should be to build your audience. And the guy who is tearing you down is probably trying to tell you how to build your audience. To do things that's not going to destroy your body, do things that are going to leave something for the fans to come back to, a bunch of other stuff that can really help you. But what you get is, I don't like that this guy told me not to do this. I don't like this. And I prefer William Regal, who just let me do whatever I want. And I did a moonsault and I blew out my knees. I'm like, yeah, I'm sure you loved it. Sure you thought it was great. Sure you thought it was absolutely fantastic. Which is ridiculous, if we're being honest. But Kevin Owens is a man. Every week he just shows why I'm just. He disgusts me sometimes. Not all the time, but sometimes. He really makes me sick. And mostly it's because he has that dumb indie wrestler mindset. Oh, what happened? What happened? Oh, there we go. We're back. And the dumb indie wrestler mindset is well, my small crowd is happy, so that's all it is. And then the crowd never grows. Or if the crowd does grow, it grows very, very slow. Road Dogg says, I see another YouTuber call out Tony Khan, but not call out Triple H. They're the same as far as I'm concerned. Both of them grew up as wrestling fans and have this mentality that it's all about the wrestling, and not so much about creating moments that people remember and, fun shit. People don't remember, like, the stuff will be fun, man. And, oh, God damn it. God damn it, God damn it, God damn it. Ah! My sound cut out, didn't it? Yeah. WG Phil says Owens is turning 41 in May. You'd think the Mark mentality would have ceased. Guess what? In a couple of months, we're 10 years from him being in WWE. I think he came in 2014. So I think he's been there for 10 years. So you certainly think that the Mark mentality should be gone with him being in WWE for 10 years. But it's not. It's only getting worse. It's only getting worse. And that's because he's got authority. You know, now he's got some seniority, and Triple H is in control, and whatever. Kevin Owens and the Young Bucks and guys like them should have stayed where they were wrestling fans in the crowd and not in the business. But thanks to Bret Hart, they're here to stay. Why are we blaming Bret Hart for this? Why are we blaming Bret Hart for this? ROH ended up dying before TK bought it, so it clearly wasn't the right way to go. Hell, it was dead before, it died during the pandemic. It was dead before that. Remember, the Elite was keeping Ring of Honor alive for a short time. There was at one point, I forget what it was, but the Ring of Honor attendance record was like 1,000 people. Which I need to look that up. Like, what was the Ring of Honor attendance record? Because I think Tony Khan ended up breaking it not shortly after he bought the company. He ended up having the highest attended event in Ring of Honor history, and it was still in a small building. So it says the Supercard of Honor 11, which was April 1st, 2017, had an attendance of 3,500. The event set a new ROH attendance record. 3,500 people. That was Ring of Honor's attendance record. Tony Khan's did 4,500 in 2023. So it was 3,500 in 2017. And then Tony Khan took it over, put Claudio and Eddie Kingston in the main event. And they did 4,500 in terms of attendance. A paltry number. That's NXT level numbers, right? No, if Raw and SmackDown did 3,000 people, which sometimes it would get down to that point if business was bad, if business was slow, then folks would say that the company was dying. So that means, and look, at this point in time, in 2017, when they got their attendance record before Tony Khan bought it, Kevin Owens was not working in Ring of Honor anymore. So that means he wasn't even there. I'm pretty sure Cody Rhodes and the Young Bucks and all those guys would have been there. As a matter of fact, let me take a look to see who was on that show when they did their attendance record. Who was the main? Oh, there he is. Oh, that's Christopher Daniels. Christopher Daniels was the main event. Oh, the Young Bucks were in the main event against the Hardy Boys. So that explains it. The Hardys were the draw. The Hardys drew the highest rated, the highest attended Ring of Honor event in history. And looking at this card, Dalton Castle was there. Dragon Lee was on that show, and so was Will Ospreay, Bobby Fish, Punishment Martinez, who is now Damian Priest. Cody was on the show. He wrestled Jay Lethal. Hangman Page was on the show. And Marty Scurll defeated Adam Cole in the opening match. So, and this was in 2017. The attendance record. Amazing. 3,500. But William Regal told us you were doing the right thing. He said, you guys just keep doing what you're doing. keep sleeping in your cars and working for hot dogs. You goddamn geniuses. You don't want to. Oh, jeez. Stone Mexican says, I wonder why Jay Lethal never made it to WWE. Dude was so talented. He could have been a solid WWE mid-card or maybe Intercontinental champ. Good question. I don't think he ever. I don't know. That would be a good question. Maybe there's a shoot interview out there where he talks about this. I don't know. But I know that when he left TNA, he went to Ring of Honor and they made him a world champion. And he ended up being like a trainer at the dojo and a bunch of other stuff. Right before Ring of Honor closed, though, he ended up getting slapped with that sexual harassment lawsuit, though. Where Kelly Klein claimed that he was sexually harassing her. That's part of the reason why he didn't do so well in Ring of in AEW. Is because that's been dangling over his head. He said it was probably the show the Hardys did before going back to WWE. Yep, it was April of 2017, and it was April 1st, 2017, and the Young Bucks did win that match, and they won the match for the tag team titles. And that seems like that would have been WrestleMania weekend, or the week before WrestleMania. So 2017, that would have been WrestleMania 33. WrestleMania 33. And that was in 2017, and this was April the 2nd. So yeah, the Hardy Boys popped up the very next night at WrestleMania. I remembered that happening, actually. So yeah, that makes perfect sense now. And there it is. The Hardy Boys defeated Luke Gallows, Carl Anderson, Cesaro with Sheamus, Enzo Amore, and Big Cass. Yep, you were right, sir. Junior Star says Bret Hart and HBK gave birth to the 2000s indie golden era. Punk, Danielson, Super Dragon, Low Key, Samoa Joe, Seth Rollins, Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, Nigel McGuinness, all Bret HBK kids. Most of those guys were like huge fans of like Japanese dudes. Like, yes, a lot of them were fans of the smaller guys, you know, the luchadors, the Shawns and the Bretts, the technical professionals. Yeah. The Eddie Guerreros, those guys, yes. But if you watch their matches, they all like working stiff, which was basically like the Japanese stuff, you know. But I guess you can give them some credit. I guess. Prince Ali says CM Punk and Bryan Danielson are ROH's biggest draws, and their star power combined don't even match Roman Reigns' star power. Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I'm not sure that they're the biggest draws in Ring of Honor history. They were pretty big draws for Ring of Honor, though. But it was humorous that when I saw that clip, I was thinking to myself, what was the attendance for that show? And what was the attendance for the next show? Because when you see a guy like Al Snow, they talk about Al Snow a lot. Because the interesting bit is that OVW for the second time in like 5 years has been bought again. While Al Snow's name is coming up. Let's talk about that for a second. Al Snow owned Ring of Honor, not Ring of Honor, what am I talking about? OVW, and they were losing money. And everybody was like, well, he clearly doesn't know anything about wrestling. OVW losing money. Yeah. And the same thing about Jim Cornette. Oh, Jim Cornette don't know nothing about no wrestling. Smoky Mountain Wrestling went out of business. Like, yeah, okay, but how about you also take that same mentality when fucking Kevin Owens sits down and tells you all the great stuff they were doing in Ring of Honor and how, oh, this guy tried to tear us down. We were trying to do good. We were trying to do good works. We were doing good Samaritan stuff. We were just doing good Canadian stuff. They were doing good for professional wrestling. It's like, okay, you were getting paid in hot dogs. And to be fair, there were 300 people in the building. You know, fix your problems first, sir. But they didn't do that. Now, OVW has been purchased again. It says Monday, OVW, this is Monday the 8th. Yep. OVW announced that Morley Sports Management would take control of the promotion on May the 1st. Rob Edwards, the founder of the UK-based company that owns Haverfordwest County AFC, a semi-pro football club in Wales. So European wrestling fans are European wrestling marks are going to take over a Kentucky-based American wrestling promotion. What on earth? What the hell? Okay, so it says, led by Al Snow, the promotion remains littered with talent with whom we want to promote, not just within Louisville and Kentucky. Louisville is in Kentucky, but across the U.S. and Europe, and alongside the OVW Academy, provide a clear pathway for people anywhere to break into the industry in what is one of the leading environments to learn the trade. We want to build on the exposure created from the wrestlers on Netflix and take OVW's reach across the pond and beyond. He said the current ownership group have worked tirelessly to drive OVW forward into the modern era. We are dedicated to continuing their good work over the last few years and build on the strong foundations in place alongside its passionate team. Interesting. This is the second time in 5 years, if I remember correctly, that OVW has been purchased. I remember they did the wrestlers. It was some guy, I don't know, the guy who had the seizure, that poor fellow. And they were talking about how much money they were losing. And now this guy stepped in and decided he's going to buy this thing. Sheesh. I haven't watched OVW in a while. Has it gotten any better? Has anybody been watching it? That's a deep dive. I don't know if people actually watch OVW anymore. You know, it's one of the shows that I don't keep it in my rotation. You know, it's like as WWE, like I actually watched Evolve, but I don't dedicate a whole lot of time to it. But thankfully, it comes and goes pretty quickly. But I haven't had time to keep up with a lot of the ancillary shows. But I still do watch some ancillary shows. I just haven't watched this one. I'm looking to see when the most recent OVW show was 10 minutes ago. Huh. Well, damn. They had a show that just streamed 10 minutes ago. Yikes. Oh boy. And you wonder why there's no more Hulk Hogan's and Ultimate Warriors running around the wrestling business anymore, because all these guys refuse to go to the gym. Yeah, it's because all the fans are marking out for them and they thinking, I'm doing good. I don't need to go to the gym. Look, that guy is very happy. Like he's just fatter than you. That's really all he's got. You know, like he's just a fat guy like you. It's interesting. WG Field says Carl Anderson now running his mouth saying he wanted to leave after seeing people talk to The Rock, but now crying he got released while injured. Yeah, well, it should be noted. And that's the only thing I'm gonna say about Carl Anderson, because he's absolutely worthless, pointless, not worth talking about. I'm pretty sure he was talking about being in NXT, because that was the last locker room he was in, and a lot of those people would have been fans. Now, in main roster WWE, there still might have been some people who were called up and who had never met The Rock and wanted to go and meet him and all that kind of stuff. But I can guarantee you that the sort of unnerving markdom that would kind of make somebody want to quit the business probably happened in NXT. If I would have had to venture a guess, it would have been in NXT. But it's amazing that OVW still puts out shows. Jesse Goddard is still there. God damn. What is going on? I thought he owned a piece of the company. He had been there for so damn long. So most of these people are the same people that were there last time I watched OVW. So I'm going to start paying attention to it when the company is completely bought up, because I want to see what the new owners are going to do. But ironic that I started talking about Al Snow, and here is we're talking about these guys buying the company. JS says, what happened to that OVW documentary? Well, I know there were supposed to be more episodes. I think it's on Tubi now. I think the Wrestlers is on Tubi now. X9 says OVW and MLW are more of the same, so no one watches them. I watched the most recent MLW show. The thing about MLW that I do like, they lean very, very heavily on Lucha Libre. which I like. So they bring in a lot of CMLL stars. They bring in a lot of people from Japan. And sometimes the people from Japan are kind of relatively unknown, you know, so they're like fairly new to me. But they still also have like regular indie guys and stuff like that. Like I don't mind MLW, and it doesn't run often enough where I can forget it. You know, I think they only have shows like once a month, which is not a lot when you really consider it. But that's not that hard to skip over. But watching like OVW or GCW or something like that, yeah, no, I don't bother anymore. WG Phil says, isn't it ironic that Sammy of all indie wrestlers gets mainstream wrestling? Well, that's because he's been watching it his whole damn life. So he understands it. It's just that he didn't want the criticism. And these guys are allergic to that shit. Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, Hangman Page, all of them are allergic to criticism. They don't want anybody telling them they're doing something wrong. You know? And there's this whole generation of fans. And to be fair, Ricky Morton also says, oh, Kevin Owens is great. Ricky Morton's a very nice guy. He's extremely nice. A little too nice. I've never been a fan of Kevin Owens, and I'm not going to become one now just because Ricky Morton put him over. I'll see if I got one more clip to play before we get out of here. I bookmarked so many clips because I never know what I'm going to talk about. But here's a clip. I guess we could talk about this. Bayley and her respect for the Divas era. I wasn't looking for this, but here it is.
That just honestly, sometimes when we talk about the Divas era, people think it's like a knock on it,
Right.
which it's totally not. You still had so many talented women in that era that just honestly didn't get the time to show what they could do, but they could do everything. You know, we would have everybody come down to NXT and work with us, and like got the time and showcase what they can do.
All right. So Auntie Pam. Whoa. Auntie Pam basically throwing some bail to the Divas era stars. You know, that's a clip I definitely got from the Divas corner of the internet because they're the only ones who would keep something like that. They're the only ones who would even watch it, we're being honest. But she was talking to Cody Rhodes, who I forgot had his own show, podcast, something like that. I don't know if it's still in operation, but she giving the Divas credit. Oh, these guys could do a lot of the stuff that we could do. Yeah, right. Not without tearing their shoulders and all that kind of stuff. Now, some of them were more athletic than they were given credit for. Some of them are better trained than they were given credit for. But for the most part, a lot of those bras were not very good. But you also had the situation where they would say that, oh, I think it's kind of enough of them have said it that I kind of believe it's true, that they would get in trouble for having matches that were too good. And I think that's one of the things that has been said enough where it might have some level of truth to it, that producers and stuff would, you know, get after them for having matches that were too good. So that was an interesting clip. AJ3 says, it's nice to hear someone who ain't down with the whitewashing and racing of history that everyone is doing. What are we talking about here? I have no idea what we're talking about. Oh, what the hell happened? Oh no. What happened? Where's everybody? Oh no, I banned this guy. Oh shit. No, I didn't mean. How do I unban this guy? See, that's the thing about this having this stupid fucking thing on the wall. I banned AJ3 by mistake. I'm so sorry, buddy. I don't know how to unban him. Oh shit. How do you unban this guy? Oh shit. Oh boy. Oh, brother. I got to figure out how to unban my guy, man. He didn't deserve it. He didn't deserve to get banned. I completely banned him by mistake. And now I don't know how to undo it. Hopefully that doesn't, apply to every stream. If Pam was talking to me in real life, I just nod my head and say, yes, sir, my lady. Oh, geez, simp. Is he on Discord? I think so. Geez. I just don't know how I ended up banning him. And I don't, this is a crazy thing. Like, I'm in control of this thing here. How could I? You said you sure the ban was like 15 minutes. No, that would have been like a timeout then, right? Like, I pushed the button. I pushed the wrong button to ban this guy completely, which is crazy. Because you should be able to undo it. Like, why can't I undo it? Which is nuts. Like, you can ban somebody, but you can't unban them. I'm trying. This is a jailbreak. I'm trying to get this guy out of this prison. I don't think I'm gonna be able to actually end this stream until I unban my dude. And well, it's gonna give me an opportunity to figure out how this shit works. Let's see. Oh, I can't orientate that thing. You said just click his name. I'm trying to click his name and it's not showing up. And where is he? I'm trying to see if I can get his icon. Nope. They won't let me click the icon. They won't let me click nothing. It's because it's got this stupid fucking referral link here right in the way. Yeah, it's not. It's not gonna unban him. I don't know what's going on. AJ3 was banned and their comments were removed. Completely by accident. Completely by accident. I can't believe this. Psychotic. I don't know. Maybe we'll have to try again. He's gonna have to come back. I'll have to find some way of unbanning him. Because I'm out of clips now. I don't really have anything else to talk about. So I kind of want to fiddle around with this and see if I can get this guy unbanned. Let's see. It won't let me change the orientation. Maybe I have to let's see. Maybe if I step out of the green room. Let's see. All right. Oh, there he is. He's back. All right, he's back. Show on stage. There we go. The stupid referral link is back too. I tried to get rid of it. WG Phil says it's strange Owens keeps harping on indie wrestling, but he won't join AEW, even with the 2 contract expirations that took place in 2022 and 2024. I think mostly just Triple H throwing money at him at this point. But he's back now. I left the stream and came back, and he was back. So that's I wonder how that happened. I don't understand it. I don't understand YouTube at all, man. All right. I appreciate everybody for stopping by, man. Peace and love to everybody. Thank you all. I will probably see you again Saturday, but it might be 2 streams on Saturday. It might be a Saturday stream and a Sunday stream. Who knows? Because there's so much pop culture stuff I want to talk about. Who knows? SmackDown may suck, and I might be back tomorrow. You said the 2022. Oh yeah, that's when he got the big match with Kevin, with Stone Cold Steve Austin, though. So yeah, I was hoping and praying he would leave at that point. Man, I wanted him gone so bad. It's like I got what I wanted, that Kevin Owens not going to be around for a while, but I didn't want him to have like a really bad injured neck. Like I don't never want that kind of stuff to happen. But I wanted him gone, and now he is. So let's actually do like a short wrap up. So far, we talked about Gunther, who claimed that Triple H was saving wrestling because he opened the lane for European guys to get into WWE, which ended up being a huge mistake because outside of himself, not many of those guys were actually any good. You got guys like Pete Dunne and Tyler Bates who are sticking up the joint. They're incredibly small, not really all that interesting, not all that got that much in the way of personality. It wouldn't matter where they worked, if we're being honest. So, who gave a shit, really? Kevin Owens basically saying that he was disappointed in being torn down by veterans when he was in Ring of Honor because what we were doing worked for our audience. You're like, yeah, but your audience wasn't growing. The highest attendance of Ring of Honor as an independent promotion was 3,500. That's that was crazy, and it was that because of the Hardy Boys. Now, to be fair, I think the TNA attendance record is probably not that far off, if we're being honest. I don't think it's that far off from 3,500. And then we played a clip from Bayley, who basically gave respect to the Divas era, which is fun and fair. Again, everybody, thank you all for stopping by. If you should all please hit the like button. Everybody, it's 21 people listening. Hit the like button, please. If you want to help me get to AEW or to the Wu-Tang concert, please give at the Cash App. I appreciate it. If not, then I'll just see you guys later. Peace out.